Welcome to the live. We're going to do a bit of a decode on the WEF's meeting that happened this year, 2026, that ran from January the 19th to the 23rd. And that was the date that they chose for the WEF meeting last week. But it wasn't just a conference, it was a discussion. What happened at Davos in 2026 was a starting gun. And they're not done with the theories and the white pages. The global control grid moved from planning phase into an installation phase.
The most important thing for everyone to understand is that this isn't just a technical rollout. What they're building is a spiritual and energetic attack on free will itself. They want to quantify the human soul, and they're using technology as the weapon.
Exactly. So tonight, Mindy and I are going to break down this together. We're going to focus on I'm going to focus on the historical facts and the technical side of things, the nuts and bolts of the prison that they're trying to build around us. And Mindy's going to show us what it means for your sovereignty, your energy, and even your consciousness. So we might kick off with a couple of clips and just give you a bit of a background on, what these guys were up to at the WEF and what their plans were and what they were yapping on about. So we obviously have old Schwabsy, who's retired at 88, which is significant, as always, the numbers. So Schwabsy's gone, so you will see a little bit of Schwabs in the videos because he's still around. He still lurks like the cockroach that he is. So, there will be a bit of that, but we're well aware that he's not really in control of the WF anymore. But yeah, he'll feature here and there. So
also it's their spirit of dialogue is the theme of Davos this year, was the theme this year. And so spirit and dialogue. And so also we're going to be using this live as a bit of a decode so that we can kind of showcase what they're saying and then put it out to everybody as well, just to decode what they might really be trying to tell us.
All right, let's get one rolling. We'll start with, it's a bit of a jumble these
For
clips.
many people, this meeting feels out of step.
Larry Fink,
with the moment.
BlackRock.
We hear all about the elites. And how does that play out in an age of populism? How does an established institution make a difference in an era of deep institutional mistrust? And there's some truth to the critique. I believe in this forum for a long time. I certainly wouldn't be leading this if I didn't believe that we can change and make the world better. But it's also obvious that the world now places far less trust in us to help shape what comes next. If the World Economic Forum is going to be useful going forward, it has to regain that trust.
All right, so that was Larry Fink hammering on about whatever.
It's a moment of uncertainty.
Put a pause in there. Yeah, so Larry Fink, obviously CEO of BlackRock, big dude, lots of money, very powerful person. He's kind of like the MC these days, doing that kind of thing. So we're going to start a live poll. So in the comments, we're going to be putting up a live poll. We might do a few of them during this decode. So the first one we'll do is, do you believe that the WF's plans for digital IDs and CBDCs are about control, or are they about progress? So let us know in the poll in the comments what you guys think. And so what do you think, Min, of old Finky?
So I think he's going to try and subdue the fears around what people have figured out. So they're acknowledging that there is unrest and that people are worried or aware of some of the things that they have been doing. And so he's come in as a bit of, as you said, an MC, and I reckon he's trying to kind of get people on side and trying to kind of make the WEF relevant again, and also to just kind of make people feel like maybe it's not what it seemed to be under Schwab's. I don't know, but I feel like he's going to be the face of it to try to make everyone trust again, because it's all about, they know that the trust has been changed and that people aren't as trusting. Yes.
Yeah, we're sick of them. So
they've mentioned it. He's mentioned it.
Yeah, so that was an opening speech. So pretty significant that he came out with his tail between his legs, carrying on about, they've lost trust. You wonder why we've lost trust. We've never had any trust. So,
but it's good that the people have acknowledged what they can see and that there is distrust. I think that's really positive.
Yeah, it is. All right, well, throw up another clip. So This is the CEO of the World Economic Forum, is the next clip. So we'll just let him do a bit of a blah on.
So, possibility. Not a moment to retreat, but a moment to rise. The World Economic Forum is not about responding to current events. It's about orchestrating the right conditions that enable us to move forward. Isn't this moment also when dialogue is not a luxury, but really a necessity?
These are mirrored,
There's no
obviously.
way we can move
I have to
the
print them
world
out again.
forward without
You
starting
get the idea.
to speaking with each other. That's also why we begin this week with music. Music knows no borders.
Yeah, so he's just rambling on about music. Reckon that's going to fix the WEF.
Frequency, I think.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of frequency stuff going on at the moment. It seems to be a a bit of a
Pause it so we can.
topic. Oh, is that still playing? I thought.
Yeah.
Says it's not.
Okay, it was just for a sec. I could hear
Is
it.
it? Oh, it's paused.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
yeah, frequency. He was talking about not responding to events, but orchestrating events. And they're going to have an orchestra come in, and so this is the opening of Davos. This is what he's speaking at the moment. So he's introducing, or ceremonially introducing, the WEF's agendas. And so coming in as an opening, it's like a ritual. And what they do is they go in and start to use frequency to elaborate or to bring their plans into action. And so he has said, we don't respond, we orchestrate, and now they're going to introduce an orchestra to bring that frequency in.
Indeed. So these are just pretty short clips, so we're just going to hammer through some. We're well aware that comments come in and that kind of thing, so thanks for any subs and follows as we go. We're just kind of ploughing through this as quickly as possible, so we might do a Q&A at the end, and we'll throw up some polls during this. I'll just be semi-distracted, throwing up polls and doing stuff like that. So feel free to comment, because we will get to it all. Probably just not yet, because we've got a fair bit to get through, but anyway.
It speaks no single
we'll just
language. A violin, a
We'll let him
trumpet, a
talk
clarinet,
for
and a
sec
drum.
about his
They come
instruments.
together in perfect harmony, each unique, each essential.
I don't know much about this guy
each
either.
voice
It's more
making
research needed.
the whole more beautiful. That is what we must do. Not erase our differences, but celebrate them, amplify them, build
Amplify.
from
Yeah,
them.
lots of frequency talk. So this is Larry talking about how he's going to
Playing.
explain.
Okay, now it's not.
Got a bit of lag going on or something. So this Larry's talking about digitalization of everything you own, your house, a sausage roll you buy down the street. They want to tokenize, and it's kind of funny because if you see the look on this guy's face at the moment, he gets some pretty sideways looks from whoever these guys are on the panel. Again, I don't know everyone on all these panels, and I don't want to know them all. But yeah, it's interesting because Larry basically is like, yeah, you'll see.
Tokenization, decimalization is necessary. It's ironic that we see two emerging countries leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We will, we can reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependence.
So interesting that he talks about corruption. If the blockchain, if they actually wanted to use it, we should use it already for voting. In Australia, they won't use it because of corruption, and America and most other Westerns places.
We still have pencils.
Yeah, we've still got pencils so they can rub it out or do whatever they want. So not even pens in Australia. That's how ridiculous it is. So yeah, it's interesting that they're talking about trying to eliminate corruption using the blockchain. It'll never happen because we all know who's corrupt. It's not the little guys like us. It's the big boys, and if they had to go through and actually be audited, so I actually don't think when they're talking about stuff like this that it's actually going to happen, and no time soon, so that they talk a lot of shit.
But I think that when they're doing a panel talking about tokenization, they're talking about rapid and doing it really quickly. So that's time as well.
Yeah, but yeah, look, the blockchain's just that kind of thing. It's it can be used well, but I think it's at the moment no one really trusts it because of the stupid Bitcoin and everything else. No one really understands the power of the blockchain and what it could do. Me and Mindy actually have a fair idea. We had a cryptocurrency back in 2015, so we created our own currency back then. So we have a fair idea what its advantages are, but yeah, I just don't see it. I think these guys like corruption too much. So, all right, so we'll move on to the next. So a bit of a backstage shot at Davos, probably Schwab's.
Definitely
the girl.
rituals going on.
Yeah, always rituals. That's all it's about.
And so they do quite dark things there. There's some Lucis Trust, which is their connection to their meditation room.
But still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
Clown World. So we just have some pull-up things that we do here because we often get kicked off if we say the word.
We are missing in our society two fundamental pillars. It's truth and it's trust. And without restoring those pillars, we will not be able to solve the big global issues which we face at this moment. It's a keyword of dialogue, of listening each to another, and in such a way to see the different aspects, the different dimensions of a problem. And that's fundamental in order to be able to create afterwards solutions.
If there is one decisive factor of the intelligent age, what is it?
I think it's the capability, in view of the fast and disruptive technological change, to remain human beings. And as human beings, we have to exercise empathy, we have to listen each to another, and I think we have to analyze issues, not just with our brains, but also with our heart, and with an understanding that ultimately we have to serve not ourselves, but society.
Well, that was very heartwarming of Schwab's there. I trust him now. I'm back on board. Love the WEF. Schwabsy did it again.
He's got lots of empathy, apparently.
Apparently, lots of empathy, lots of holding his heart.
Yes.
So I'll do another poll in the comments. Do you miss Schwabsy already? Or do you like the new reptilian that they've got in? So I'll do that as a poll.
Yeah. It's interesting now that I think they had to remove some of the old faces.
Yes.
So they spoke about it being trust. But Matt's going to give you some history now and talk about what he knows about the WEF.
Yeah, Schwabsy, just on a sidetrack thing here, the creation of the Economic Forum and that kind of thing was nothing to do with Schwab's. He claims as the creator, but he's not. Yeah, so the truth's so much darker. It starts in not Switzerland, but in Harvard University with the funding from the CIA. The real story is that Clausey or Schwabsy wasn't a founder. He was a chosen operative back in the 1960s. He attended Harvard International Seminar where it wasn't just any course, it was a recruitment ground. headed by a man you all know, Henry Kissinger. And it later exposed the entire program was funded by the Central Intelligence Agency.
Let that sink in. The architect of the modern globalist movement was recruited through a CIA-funded program. This isn't a conspiracy theory, this is documented fact. It means that from the very beginning, the WEF has never been about economics. It was an intelligence operation disguised as a philanthropic forum.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I only discovered that the other day after doing a bit of diving, a bit of deep diving for this little live. So, you know, just interesting stuff.
History.
The more you dive, the more, you know, you realise that everything you're told's a lie, including Schwab's claiming he did
Kissinger
it
is
all.
a very central figure, isn't
Oh,
he?
massive,
Yeah.
massive. For corruption and craziness back in the day, Kissinger was responsible for a lot of stuff. Kissinger wasn't working alone. He had a team. The real architects behind the WEF are Kissinger, an economicus, John Kenneth, a man who named Herman Kahn, a futurist known as the real Dr. Strangelove. These were the men who taught in terms of Cold War game theory and systems of control. They weren't idealists, they were social engineers. They saw Schwab's as a perfect frontman to launch a European-based organisation that could advance their vision for a more manageable global society.
So the Cold War mindset is key. They view human beings as variables in an equation. Your freedom, your unpredictability, your soul, that's a problem to be solved. Herman Kahn even predicted this system would be self-perpetuating with a small pre-selected leadership group trained to continue the agenda. They're not building this for themselves, they're building it to last 1,000 years with them as the permanent overseers. So I think you all know 1,000-year plans in the past, you know what
They
that
were
meant.
German too, just by chance. So Schwabsy, just by chance. Anyway, but they've done pretty good with their 1,000-year reign. They're still around. Rome, they're not going anywhere. All right, so throw on another clip.
Come on, Bill. The theme of the WEF this year is spirit of dialogue. Let's have a conversation, an open dialogue. Can you answer some of these questions? Mr. Gates, can I ask you what you think about the United States, the HHS and the CDC lowering the childhood vaccine schedule? What do you think about that? Mr. Gates, what do you think about the HHS lowering the vaccine schedule in the USA? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Mr. Gates, I'm a student from Columbia.
He's not very talkative now. Seems to know everything half the time, but...
Mr. Gates, given the complications that came out from the COVID vaccine, do you think that it was actually wrong to push such a thing on the world? No answers?
Yeah.
Mr. Gates, can you at least accept now that it is public domain and common knowledge that the COVID vaccine was basically a failure? Can you accept that and at least apologise to the world for getting it wrong? It's okay to get things wrong if you admit you get things wrong when you are wrong. Can you do that?
Just unaccountable.
Come on, Bill. The theme of the WEF this year is spirit of dialogue. Let's have a conversation, an open dialogue. Can you answer some of these questions?
No.
Okay, how about ignore these questions if there were complications with the COVID vaccine and you got things wrong and people were harmed and died?
Yeah, it's just that rudeness.
They think they're gods.
All right, thanks.
Bill, can you at least answer one of those questions? Well, actually, you're walking in my way. Bill, often they say, you know, we should trust the experts when it comes to vaccination. Yet, how are you an expert? You work in computers, you don't work in medicine. Yet, you seem to know so much about it. Why can't we answer these? Bill, are these people telling you what to do because you are losing your mind? You don't look very with it today, Mr. Gates. No. Now he's being pushed around. He almost looks like Joe Biden towards the end of his premiership, where he would just walk aimlessly around the place, almost like maybe he's had too many vaccines and it's causing brain damage. You saw his people going, no Bill this way, no Bill that way. I'm not actually even sure he didn't want to answer questions. He didn't seem with it. Bill Gates, the man who pushed vaccinations on the world, who heavily pushed the COVID vaccine, where people have been harmed and died, and yet there's zero accountability from the human rights of those who didn't want to get vaccinated. Yet some people...
Yeah, so obviously Billy Boy, and none of these people ever answer questions. It's just, they feel like they're not, accountable at all, and that we're literally just scum.
And they hate these independent journalists as well.
And I love them. I think they're just
great.
classic. So, any GoFundMe stuff, I'd send it to them over anything else. They work hard.
Independent media is tricky.
It is, and they generally just disappear or they get brought out.
I mean, obviously, during the whole last 6 years, we've seen some amazing independent journalism.
Yeah, like Ruckshaw in Australia, he did an amazing job.
Incredible.
Yeah. So this guy, this is another clip. We're going to do some more WEF. This is just on the streets, obviously, as they're going to different conferences to pat each other on the back about how they're all tyrants. So I'll just throw up this one as well, and you just see how rude these guys are, and they're unaccountable.
People have died as a result of this. Is that really a smirking matter?
Why you pushed Canada to vaccinate the people?
Pushing disinformation the way you have.
What is disinformation?
Irresponsible.
What, that people have died?
People in Canada to vaccinate.
I'm sorry, but that's
the COVID vaccine.
But that's not misinformation. My old cameraman's mother actually.
And you pushed them into jail.
My old cameraman's mother actually died after complications from the COVID vaccine. So is that misinformation? Oh, now you're laughing. Mr. Trudeau, could I ask you a few questions, please?
No, sorry.
Oh, come on. It's the spirit of dialogue is the theme of the WEF this year.
Yeah.
Well,
rules for thee,
given
not
that
for
we
me.
now know that the lockdown measures in Canada were wrong, do you want to take the opportunity to at least admit that and say sorry to those who were affected? Come on, it's okay to get things wrong as long as, like I said to Tony Blair, it's okay to get things wrong as long as
goes
you
out with Katy Perry.
admit as such when you get the opportunity. Like, do you not want to take that opportunity?
He's gay, I reckon.
Because not speaking kind of speaks volumes. Or I could maybe frame it. Ignore my question.
Deliberate choice to not talk to you.
Deliberate choice. Why not? Why don't you want to talk to a free press? Okay, how about ignore this question if your lockdown measures were authoritarian and wrong?
I don't know why they can't answer.
No, nothing.
Why can't you talk?
Yeah, well, you think you'd be really proud of what you did if you
Well,
were
he is.
still
Look at the
quiet.
smirk on the
But
face.
you'd say
Because we
something.
get LGBTQ so hard. We don't believe in traditional values.
Fundamental human rights.
And traditional values, creation of God,
It's a
man
fundamental
and
human
woman.
Let's put a pause in that. So yeah, there's he goes after then president of the central bank in
No, I don't necessarily want to interview, but it's the people of Europe want to know why they can't use cash to a certain extent, because some would suggest that's about a control and the state taking charge over what people can and can't spend their money on. Surely that's a fair question.
Banknotes will always be available. We're working on this, and we will continue working on making sure that that's available for people.
But do you still believe?
End of the story. Thank
One
you.
last question: Do you still believe that people shouldn't be able to spend over £1,000 in cash for an individual purchase?
Yeah.
It's a simple yes or no, Miss Lagarde. Christine,
they're allowed to spend millions.
The WEF theme this year is spirit of dialogue. You're touching me, actually. It's a public path and you're walking to me. The theme this year is a spirit of dialogue. You have previously been convicted of criminal charges, criminal negligence, for spending over 400 million euros of taxpayers' money. Why can't you answer a simple question? One last time, can people spend over €1,000 in cash for an individual purchase, yes or no?
You are convicted criminal.
Yes, wow, he was a very good independent journalist.
Yeah, I don't know who he is either. I've only
He's
just seen him
great.
this week, so he did the job.
Yeah.
So we got Trump. I'll just say I don't follow politics. I don't believe that they're all in the same club. Just
These
put
are
it
all
that way.
cherry-picked out by people as well.
Yeah, so Trump's just
He said
harassing
a whole
people.
lot of the WEF though.
So we're not Trump fans. Don't care about politicians. They're all criminals. So just a bit of background that we're not pro-Trump.
And they are losers.
He just calls everyone losers,
Is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses, and the worse that country is doing.
All right, so you get the idea of that one. He's just calling everyone else a loser for doing green energy, which, green energy is a bit of a scam, no doubt. But all right, so we've got Larry. Oh, he's quoting old mate.
And lastly, I just want to, because I thought it was so profound, I want to end this forum with a quote that Elon Musk said in closing yesterday's session. that it's better to be an optimist and wrong than being a pessimist who's right. So on that note, enjoy.
See, that's weird.
Yeah.
It's
That
like
makes
not
society work
accepting
better for
reality.
everybody.
Not accepting
And
responsibility.
Would you raise
Reality.
taxes to pay for that?
I don't think you'd have to. I think it would drive a lot of growth. I think I did the numbers at one point, it'd be $60 billion of spending. I think it would probably create more than that of growth and taxes. You know, and if you have to raise taxes a little bit, that's fine. But again, I don't want to have the binary argument. I don't know anyone, okay, and you guys in the room, you might be Democrats, Republicans, who thinks the spending that sending another $1 trillion to Washington, D.C. will actually improve anything. So when you say raise taxes, if you said raise taxes and directly give it to the people who need it, I'd do it. No,
So
but
we
that's not what happens.
are running out of time.
It goes to all these interest groups, you know, and they give it to their friends and all that, and which is why the people are considered a swamp. It's kind of a swamp. You know, there's 17,000 lobbying groups. Bank companies are guilty too. They're just fighting for their one self-interest as opposed to what's good for my country. But you know, that's what happens in Congress. You know, and you see how these bills get spent. Like the CHIPS Act was a good idea until, you know, it had to be unions, place-based, child care, diapers. You know, what the hell are we doing? And we do it over and over, and then it fails, and then we spend more money because the problem is we didn't spend enough.
So I'm not sure. He might be a banker. I'm not really sure. He seems to be in control of trillions of dollars, so I'm going to say he's one of the big banker boys, but obviously not impressed by politicians much at the moment with the wasting of money and admitting that, you know, the money never goes to where it should. And for that reason, he's not really interested in giving DC more money. And I think that makes sense at the moment because in about, I think it's a week or two, the US will have to come up with a new spending bill. And like last year, I think they closed down 40 days or something like that. And it was probably a significant number for some reason, but they closed the government down. Well, we're up to that stage again a year later. So I think this guy's basically saying no to more money if it was up to him. So, yeah, again, not really sure. I know he's a banker, but I'm not sure who. Alrighty. Money did go poof. It always does.
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level.
Okay.
We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind. And what we are here to say is that America First is a different model, one that we encourage other countries to consider, which is that our workers come first. We can have policies that impact our workers. Sovereignty is your borders. You're entitled to have borders. You shouldn't offshore your medicine. You shouldn't offshore your semiconductors. You shouldn't offshore your entire industrial base and have it be hollowed out beneath you. You should not be dependent for that which is fundamental to your sovereignty on any other nation. And if you're going to be dependent on someone, it darn well better be your best allies. Okay? And so that is a different way of thinking. It is completely different than the WEF. I viewed the WEF as not a flagpole in the middle, but in fact, they are the flag. Whichever way the wind blew, so it blew. You should have solar, you should have wind. Why are you going to do solar and wind? Why would Europe agree to be net zero in 2030 when they don't make a battery? They don't make a battery. So if they go 2030, they are deciding to be subservient to China, who makes the batteries.
So can I just say, in a decode sense of things, they've admitted that they've lost trust, that people don't trust the WEF anymore. So they've got to create this kind of opposition in the WEF. They've got to create this rebel that comes in and is going to kind of expose all the things that people don't trust about them so that they can fix the problem. So I believe that the US is that actor. I believe that they're coming in to do this kind of like divide deliberately to try to get people on side again, to think they're going to come in and fix the WEF. But I don't trust it.
No, I think it's how it is at the moment with good cop, bad cop, that kind of thing will happen.
Deliberately, I think.
Yeah, and you know, they're never going to expose anything big. Like he was just talking hooey-fooey there. He was not really getting up anyone's bum. He was just doing the standard,
America first, that
yeah,
type of thing.
But I'll throw up another poll on that. Do you think globalization is a good thing? Do you think it benefits our lives? And do you think it maybe over impoverishes people who are the slaves who make all our shit, like our phones and stuff? So do you believe globalization was a good thing? Yes or no?
A very tricky question though, because it depends on who's in control of the globalization. But I also think that when you have strict border control and things like that, you're going back to history where that's happened in the past, nationalism and things like that. And is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah, if you know your history, you know that at the moment we're going back to like 1939 regions. We're going back to dodgy economies and the premise of war. There's a reason that gold is going pumping at the moment. If you look every time gold goes up, there's a reason. It means that fiat currency is dying in its ass and very quickly at the moment. And then, you know, obviously there's a changeover. Everyone buys gold because, you know, when a war comes, it's safer until the government takes it back off you, which again in history happens too. A lot of the time the government comes in war places and take all your gold and silver because they need it to build new bombs with or some crap. So
what do you think, Matt? Do you think that America is genuinely a rebel against the world and the WEF and stuff, or do you think there's more to it?
Look, I think there's just a massive game going on at the moment with Trump and everything that's going on. Again, I'm not pro anyone. To me, they're all in the same club. They're all criminals, and I don't look up to them, and I don't care what they're talking about. They're just noise in the background. But it's always worth decoding this noise to know where you stand and to basically know how to empower yourself against these idiots.
And to work out where you put your trust as well. And they're fully aware that people have woken up to some of it, so they are going to try and eliminate that concern, and they'll do that in the most Hollywood way, you know, and America is the country of Hollywood, so I'm not surprised that they're the so-called rogues that are going to come and fix everything.
Yeah, it's very typical. But yeah, I don't have much faith that, you know, anything good will come of any of this. The whole shit show that Davos is.
If they were really the enemy of the WEF,
a different world when you start.
No. So here we got old mate, the vet.
Discussing
you know, the know-all vet.
It's almost like a religion there. So I'm very concerned, very frustrated with that, but I continue engaging, and we have, as I said, a very strong and respectful, both ways, relationship, and we can chat about that.
So sort of discuss the things that you can get agreements on and park the issues that you kind of fundamentally disagree on. Works for a while, but it's not a sort of sustainable kind of thing for years to come. Something has to change, no?
The Secretary of Health.
Yes.
Old vet man getting a bit upset that people didn't like his products. So, or people are starting to get annoyed by his products and, you know, what was done with them. So I'm not going to say too much. That's again why we have stuff like this, because if I say that, I get taken down. So you've got to be careful what you say, but I think everyone knows who that guy is. And we've just got one more idiot here, even after what everyone knows now. He's talking up this shit again.
Knew how we could use
and this is
the code
2026
in the
Davos.
RNA to specify a particular protein molecule. And in this case, if you want to train the immune system to be on the lookout for SARS-CoV-2, you need to express a protein that the immune system would see, something on the outside of the virus. This turned out to be the spike protein. And then
so he's just going to give us a lecture on how it works. So I don't really want to watch him because he's annoying me already. But
talk about disinformation.
Yeah, there's some disinformation for you. So he's basically saying that they've improved the flu shot, the modern flu shot, and they're so happy that they don't have to use millions of eggs now, and that it'll all just be miracles and rainbows and lollipops for the whole world, so he's
And
pretty happy.
mRNA.
Oh, Schwabsy. Good old Schwabsy.
We cannot hide away from human population growth because, you know, it underlies so many of the other problems. All these things we talk about wouldn't be a problem if there was the size of population that there was 500 years ago.
So she's a famous naturalist. I don't know if she...
She lived with the was it chimpanzees?
Yeah. She lived with them for like 20 years or something
maybe
crazy.
not chimpanzees, but some type of
Orangutans
primate.
or something.
Orangutans maybe.
I don't know. It was gorillas.
Was it gorillas?
The gorillas? I don't know.
You guys can comment.
Yeah.
I know of her, but I don't follow her because I feel like she had a lot of very intense viewpoints.
She did, and the marry that people were making, the decode connection with her is the Georgia Guildstones said that a perfect balance of our population should never go above 500 million. And her referencing was back to depopulation, basically, saying that that we all should be dead down to the 500 million. So that's what, 90-something% of the population? 95%?
If the numbers are right.
Yeah, if the numbers are right. That's another decode. I don't believe the population BS. I just don't. I don't think there's that many people on the planet that they claim. I think they do that for a few reasons, but the main one is money. Every person who's born is worth about $1 million to the government. So every time there's a child born, like every 5 seconds, they basically print another $1 million and they can go into more debt claiming that this person will be worth or make about $1 million, and they'll adjust that as a variable.
And we just have to accept the numbers, don't we?
Well, you've got to, but obviously if you inflate the numbers, you get better GDP, and you can borrow more against the international banks and that kind of thing. So highly suspicious about the numbers, but either way, you know, you will own nothing and be happy either way. I think we already own nothing, and I'm pretty happy. So, I think Schwabsy was onto something.
It's not about having heaps of stuff, but it is about also being autonomous with the stuff that you do own.
Totally. And that's just it's not a video, but that's just a short clip about that sent me off down a rabbit hole, working out who actually runs the WEF. Antidepressants at the top of the food chain. That's about right.
That was a funny. So one is true.
Now this one, I actually think I double clipped this one, but this one's very interesting. So as you can read, this is one of the this is one of the WEF guys who they employ to do all their how to get rid of human kind of stuff, and this is very interesting. So well worth a watch.
Is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption of meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you will become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering. Another.
Wow.
Every meal you make, every bite you take, every single lunch with a crispy crunch, you will eat that box.
If you live in these parts of the country, which is practically half of the US, you should start taping up your legs like this guy every time you go outside. There's this tiny little bug called the Lone Star tick causing massive problems. A single bite from this guy reprograms your entire immune system, causing alpha-gal syndrome, which makes you allergic to red meat, and it can be life-threatening. Now, what's crazy to me is that these ticks have apparently been around for over 200 years, but there was no recorded cases of alpha-gal syndrome until just about 20 years ago, and now we're seeing a 100-fold increase in cases. The official explanation is that these ticks are spreading because of climate climate shifts and growing deer populations, but I find it awfully ironic that the same people pushing the global warming agenda while simultaneously investing in the solutions for it are also pushing the agenda to eat lab-made and plant-based meat, which are miserably failing. We also know about Lyme disease, another devastating tick-borne illness, and its relationship to bioengineering lab 257 on Plum Island, just 9 miles away from Lyme, Connecticut. Now, I don't know about you, but it's interesting that as thousands of people are healing and feeling better incorporating red meat back into their diet, there just so happens to be this exploding population of ticks that could forever prevent you from eating it.
We can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become a...
Yeah, so I'll definitely do a poll on that one. Do you think there is any connection between all our favourite mates, Gates and friends, with this tick disease which just turned up recently?
20 years.
And yeah, which is just when they all started the climate bullshit.
Yep.
So, you know, interesting times. So in the poll, do you think they are that low that they are doing tricks like that using mosquitoes and ticks to basically make us allergic to food that they don't think we should eat, like meat? They're allowed to eat it, just not us.
And it's also that, you know, the human instinct to be able to hunt and to be able to gather and to be able to do the things that we do to keep ourselves alive spiritually and physically. And what part of that is the respect of the animal and utilizing that animal for our whole way of being.
Totally. Yeah, so that's pretty scary stuff. This guy, I don't know if I'll touch much. Like, I reckon,
being rolled
let's
out.
put a pause in here. I reckon we might have to do a two-parter with this one. We've got a few things we have to do today. So anyway, I think I'll leave it there. Again, thanks for the comments, likes, follows, all that kind of stuff.
Can I just say too, just with the decode, I do think that the theme of a spirit of discourse has a lot to it. And I feel like it means discourse meaning communication, and verbalization is like spells, and spirit is like, obviously we know spirit is the energy and the underworld and things like that. So there is always something in the words of what they're saying. Always read between the lines.
And they spoke a lot about frequency. As soon as they opened,
Orchestrate,
second guy in,
orchestra, music.
talking about frequencies and how they can use that basically for or against us.
So in part 2, we might even go through a little bit more of that.
Yeah, a bit more into the frequencies and stuff. We just wanted to do a bit of a brush down of some of the clips that are coming out of Davos for last week and do a bit of a quick decode. But yeah, I think we'll pick this up and go into it a little bit more full on. We had a bit of a long morning due to technology issues with our live, so we've wasted about half the day or more to get up to this point. And yeah, so I'll go and fix some problems, and we'll be back. So throw in a sub if you want to follow this part 2 and the Q&A for all your questions that are flowing in. All right, so thanks a lot, guys, for watching. We will be back. Cheers.
Close in my life, a little bit of Logard by my side, a little bit of gate is all I need, a little bit of Soros is what I see, a little bit of Schwab in the sun, a little bit of Bloomberg having fun, a little bit of Davos all night long, a little bit of telling you what's wrong, a little bit of synergy, here I am, a little bit of future makes me your man, a little bit of stakeholder dialogue, a little bit of fog upon the blog, a little bit of leveraging the tools, a little bit of owning all you fools, a little bit of public-private scheme, a little bit of fulfilling the dream. I do the mambo, I own the land, I see the data, I make the plan, a little bit of reset in my life, a little bit of you know nothing and you like it by my side, a little bit of resilience is all I need. A little bit of global governance, mambo. A little bit of carbon credit, samba. A little bit of circular economy, cha-cha. A little bit of sharing, but I keep the casa. A little bit of metrics in my face. A little bit of profits in your space. A little bit of eating the bugs. Come on. A little bit of you'll have no rugs. Come on. I do the mambo. I own the land, yo. I see the data. I make the plan, yo. A little bit of reset in my life. A that multipolar friction. Yeah. Align those incentives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the pool now! The stakeholder pool that I own.